Welcome, everybody, to the show. Joining us is our very special co-host, Dan, the Dan Noodles, man, the Ringo Starr of Wargaming, and our very special, I sprung this on him at the last minute, by the way. Joining us is our very special guests, plural, this evening, are Wes Crawford and Ryan Heilman of the newly founded Wharf Rat Games. Guys, thanks for doing this tonight, especially on short notice, since I had talked to somebody about it like a week ago and then didn't send anything out until yesterday. So tell me, first of all, you guys know everybody, so this might be a very short question, but tell me how you guys know each other and period, I guess. How do you guys know each other?
Facebook.
Oh, that works.
I mean, yeah, you would think that we might know each other other ways because we have all these friends in common, but we actually met by Facebook, and I totally forgot the story until Wes told it the other day. Wes, what did you tell me? How did we meet again?
The way I remember it was, I got really excited because I saw this Facebook ad of games and stuff in Glen Burnie, Maryland. This is before they moved into the huge place. They were just in the super large place. And it had an estate sale, and they had 1,000 war games. And so I went there and drooled all over the floor and brought back some and all that. And I wrote, wow, I just went to this place and bought these games, and they had a huge selection. And you wrote me a private message says, I can beat those prices on those used games. And I said, really? He said, yeah, check with me first if you're looking for anything. And wow, from that, then I was, during the pandemic, this was pandemic time, and I was like designing because, I didn't have any performances or anything like that going on hardly at all. And so I started getting you to make the prototypes for what I was working on. And you did this fantastic job, and we sort of hit it off.
Yeah, I mean, we ended up finding out that we knew a lot of people in common because, he's in the music industry, and I have friends in this area in the music industry as well. So, like, my best friend knows him. He knows my best friend's wife, all these kind of other connections. But yeah, I did have some, I was doing some graphic design work for various companies, and he needed a prototype for his St. Albans game and then for his Engine Thieves game. And so he contacted me, and so I started working on that. And so we kind of hit it off there. And then at some point, given all the work he was doing and the type of games he was working on, I had an idea for a game, which was on the manhunt for Booth after the assassination of Lincoln. So I came to him, I said, hey, I got this idea for a game. I think you would be perfect to work on with it. And he said, oh, that's great. I really like that. And so then we started working on that as well. So that kind of took off from there. And then we started hanging out, going to conventions, all those good things. And then eventually said, hey, let's get together and actually start a company.
And
that's where Wharf Rat Games came out of.
Ryan, how long was this in the making?
The actual company was, well, in my mind, the company's been in the making since, I don't know, 17, 18, 19. I've been thinking about this for a long time. But it was never quite the right time to do it. I was trying to build my portfolio, per se, get a bunch of games out, win a CSR, do some development work, do some graphic designs, get associated with a lot of different companies, and then maybe start thinking about that, get familiar with what it would take to do that. So it's been kind of, working on it for quite a while. We've been talking about it for, I don't know, less than a year at some point. Off and on for less than a year, and then really decided to go after it for the last couple months. Hey, Herman.
My copy of Into the Whirlwind just showed up yesterday. It looks today showed up today. Looks great. Can't wait to take a look at it.
Something about Herman Lettman.
Thank me.
You're welcome, both of you, and the folks and Steve from Blue Panther.
Yes, definitely. Wait, he can't talk.
So he can't talk. He's facing away from the microphone. So other than feeling like you both have way too much money, what made you want to start a wargaming publisher?
Oh, we want to lose money. Isn't that the point?
Well, okay. Well, that's what I mean. Other than that, though, what motivated this terrible decision?
Go ahead, Wes.
Well, this was your idea to do this, and we started dabbling. You have so much experience in so many facets of the gaming industry at this point, and I've been learning a lot from you, honestly. I feel, I'm a bit the junior partner in this experience at this point, but I think we both complement each other well with what we do know, and we are pretty much on the same wavelength. And when we talk about things, it complements each other.
Why are you always on the same wavelength? Why are you never on the same amplitude or frequency?
Ask these music people over here. I don't
know. And I'd like to say hello to my friend Gino Iannoni, that son of a bitch. That's all.
Well, that's great.
Yeah. One thing I do want to put out there. Okay. One thing I know, and over here we have a hurricane coming in, and anyway, he's saying I'm doing the weather on the blue screen. Anyway, I think one thing we do want to state is that it is a game company. So we aren't necessarily going to specifically focus on war games.
Right.
I think that's the first thing that we want to make clear. So it is Wharf Rat Games. It is a game company. We obviously have an historical bent. We both have made and produced and developed and designed historical games. So that tends to be our bias. I have done a little bit of dabbling in science fiction and fantasy and other areas, but not to any great degree. So right now, in the games that we're looking for submissions, we're looking for historical, sci-fi, fantasy. That's kind of what we're focused on. It doesn't mean that down the line we might not do some other type of game. I mean, we are kind of leaning more towards those, I would say, light, medium to medium type games. We're definitely looking for things that are that you could play at a weekday type game night, like on a Thursday night for 90 minutes, that sort of thing. We're not looking for, some of the monsters behind you there, Artie. We're not looking for the next terrible Swiss sword or whatever else you got, War in Europe back there. We're really focusing on something a little bit lighter than that. And I think that we've been successful in doing that in the games that we've designed and have developed and have been able to produce some games that are fun in a quick period of time, but also have a lot of crunchiness to them and a lot of strategy. So definitely strategy type games, not necessarily war. Although who knows?
Although conflict, I think we've sort of agreed that there should be some kind of, this might be a socio-economic, historical, sci-fi, what other kind of conflict kind of thing. So, we're not do sci-fi and go to Mars and see who can raise the most little creatures or something like that. I don't think.
Oh yeah, I think we can agree on that.
So there is a distinction there because.
Well, I definitely want to ask you about your upcoming blockbuster Hungry Hippos 2. So
they wish.
Hey,
somebody's probably already done that.
If I can get the CSR for Lucky Little Luxembourg, can't I win one for Hungry Hippos 2?
Oh, absolutely.
There you go.
Wait, Artie,
That's a conflict between hippopotamuses.
Exactly.
Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead.
Okay. I wanted to ask Ryan, are you going to port any of your licenses over to your new company? Or
that's a possibility. I don't want to get too detailed to that because that requires me to talk to some people at some other companies, and there's some contracts involved in that. But that is certainly a possibility because those licenses are for a set period of time. So there's a chance that we might want to take one of those over and produce a deluxe edition or a 2.0 edition.
Just let me know when you want to do Lucky Little Luxembourg 2.0, and I'll be happy to provide a Charles S. Roberts Award winner graphic.
That's why I was laughing. That's why I'm laughing.
You joke. I've told this to Steve Jones so many times. I said, hey, let's do a deluxe edition Lucky Little Luxembourg. I guarantee we'll sell $500. 500 games. And I even gave him all these ideas on how to do it. And he's like, no, we're not doing that. We're not doing
that. What a no fun guy Steve is. What can I tell you?
Well, and this brings up a point too. I mean, we are involved with other companies with our games and this sort of thing. And we totally support them. In fact, one reason I'm in this is, and I think Ryan too, is to grow the industry. I think the pie needs to be bigger. And so a lot of things I think we will do is with that in mind. If we, I'm going to continue promoting. I have 3 games coming out on Compass. We have one with together with Blue Panther. And I love these people. And we want to make this whole thing bigger.
Yeah,
and that's part of our experience. We're going to be a company. So at the bottom line, we have to have a bottom line. But at the same time.
So Wes, other than being and we're going to get into this, a percussion teacher. How many games have you designed?
There's probably 6 or 8, but I have 2 that have been turned into Compass games, and they're gonna the first quarter of the year, I believe, Engine Thieves, about the Great Locomotive Chase and the American Civil War, come
Cool
out.
topic, by the way,
And
if I haven't said that
thank you.
already.
And then the other side of the coin, where Confederate raiders went into somewhere to steal something and then create havoc, and was the Confederate raid on St. Albans, which part of that game takes place also up in Montreal, because that's where the Confederate Secret Service was centered in Canada. And so there's that kind of thing. And then I have a fantasy game coming out. But the thing that's coming up first is what Ryan and I have put together with the Pursuit of John Wilkes Booth.
Now, you guys are are you guys going to go through Blue Panther with the Wharf Rat product as a print-on-demand thing, or are you guys going to go with the traditional publishing route?
The plan right now is to go the traditional publishing route. That doesn't mean that maybe sometime in the future we might not use Blue Panther for other things. I mean, I'm certainly going to be in contact with Steve as regards prototypes and things like that we're going to need to get out to people. But we're planning traditional overseas type production. I wish I could say there was that sort of production here in this country, but as we know, there really isn't that available. So we're looking overseas. There's obviously China is one big one. There's some that's occurring in Poland, even in what was the other place we heard of West the other day? Was it Vietnam? Yeah. So there's a lot of different places that's going on. So we're starting to investigate that, starting to get in contact with some people. I've got some emails from some other companies that have said, "Hey, we'll help you if you need to, negotiate that industry." And yeah, please. So it's great to be in this type of industry, and it's great to know all these people because people reach out to you and want to help. So,
and will you be porting any other? Will you be selling any other companies' games on your company?
No, our company is solely going to be Wharf Rat Games, our games, and I think really the key thing to understand about our company is that right now we are focusing on, or we're going to focus as soon as we get the game that we want to produce, we're going to focus on solely that game. We are not going to sign 10, 15, 20 different designs and have a backlog of 3, 4, 5, 6 years, anything like that. We're going to sign and find one high quality game, unique game, engaging game that we want to focus all our attention on. And that it will be the sole focus for the company for the year, as well as branding and getting our name out there and being involved with other companies and trying to spread the hobby, as Wes said. But we're going to be doing a lot of work just on that game, getting out to conventions, showing it off, play testing, working with the artists, making sure it's ready to go, and then eventually probably getting it out to crowdfunding and that sort of thing. And that's the plan for the foreseeable future. I mean, there might become a time when we're a huge hit and we can hire some more people, or maybe I can quit my job and Wes can quit his job and we can focus on this as a company. But right now, we don't want to get to the point where we tell a designer, "Hey, we're going to take your game, but it's going to be 5 years before it comes out." And that's been one of the. Go ahead.
And Ryan and Wes, do you have a position in your company where you're going to, and I can only think of the French word exiger, that you're going to every game that's going to put out there is going to need a solo variant? I
think that's kind of where the industry is going. And Wes, you talk about that because you're a real big proponent of that.
I just think it's important. And from everybody I talk to, it seems to think it's an important possibility. The Pursuit of John Wilkes Booth, for instance, it started as a solo, but it was very easy to make it 2-player cooperative because you're detectives trying to find Booth. And then from that, it was another step to make it competitive. And then on top of that, now we have a way to play Booth. And so we want lots of modes to play it, as long as they're really bona fide modes that aren't just tacked on, and they really mean something. But I think everybody pretty much wants some kind of solo variant, even if they're in a bunch of gaming groups now, that they want to be able to play around with it at home, or at least two-handed.
I mean, I feel like if you're not seriously, I mean, some games just won't lend themselves to solitaire play,
Sure.
right? But
Yeah.
to that extent, that's a little unusual. It's certainly, there's many examples, but it's unusual these days for games to be released that are just not fundamentally soloable. But even as somebody that doesn't do a lot with solitaire games, I think unless you're nuts, you're really in today's marketplace, it's foolish not to seriously consider inclusion of some kind of solitaire mode.
And
One way or the other.
Is it a marketing thing, or is it actually a I don't know what word to use. Is it a
Organic?
marketing? Well, yeah, that's a good one.
I mean, you're going to find all kinds of games that lend themselves most readily to one way or another. But look at GMT, for instance; they're very well known for all these games that were not solo, and now it's a big push, and they've got ways to retrofit and all this sort of thing. But when we're looking, I think for games, when Ryan and I are looking, we're looking for this possibility, and it's crossing our mind just as much as any other characteristic of that game when things are being submitted to us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right now our submission requirements are let's see, medium weight, fantasy, historical, science fiction. Definitely needs to have some sort of solo variant or solo possibility inherent in it. It needs to be unique. It needs to be engaging. All of those are the big things that we're looking for.
And the
And the answer to
length.
this,
The
time
time
length. Yeah, we really want to limit it to about 90 minutes or so, maybe 2 hours at most. Yes, we have spoken to other publishers about all sorts of gotchas. I was just communicating with Kevin Bertram today from Sports Circle about some of the experiences that he has, and he offered a lot of assistance to me for dealing with the Chinese industries and that sort of thing. So definitely, obviously,
it's not like you guys don't know a bunch of publishers already. After all,
yeah. I mean, I obviously I work with Steve at Blue Panther. I've done a lot of work with Amabel and Mary at Hollandspiel. I've done some development work with Mark Walker and his daughter at Flying Pig and at Tiny Battle. I've also worked with Ray Weiss at CSL on some graphic stuff. So I know a lot of different people out there. And so I can certainly get that information if need be and try to get some of these questions answered. Because some of it's scary. I mean, I was just reading Kevin's email today that he put out about shipment for his Votes for Women for the second edition. And my eyes are going, oh my goodness, what are we doing? Are we crazy here? This is nuts. I mean, look at the amount of money he has to pay Amazon and Quartermaster and all these other companies to get these things distributed. Maybe I need to go back to thinking about print on demand and not going to China, but there's a reward to doing it bigger. There's a reward to doing it better, to making the higher quality that we're talking about. We really want to put out the highest quality games out there. I mean, we want to be rivaling, not just rivaling the companies that we think of in the war game industry, but rivaling the companies outside of war games. More of the mass market
Phalanxes and your Mr. B's and your Ospreys and
So Ryan,
and they're putting together some amazing stuff.
Wow.
So your printer will not be only Blue Panther. You're going to China.
We're going someplace. I don't want to say China, but definitely probably overseas to do the printing.
Okay. Another thing I wanted to ask you: boxing. How is it going to be packaged? Will you have like a Victory Point Games type of package? VP, Alan Emmerich's game. What is it called?
Victory Point Games.
Will you have a standard packaging like that?
It's going to be a standard, fully wrapped, high quality, thick box.
And you do anticipate that the Pursuit of John Wilkes Booth will be your first release, right?
That's a Blue Panther release.
That's not ours. With Wharf Rat Games, it's ours as designers. But that's going to be a Blue Panther release. So that will be coming out looking like next month. We had a little bit of delay because it's funny. I had put together all the cards for the game. And as I'm looking at them, at the cards, I'm going, yeah, I just don't like these. And we have this fantastic artist that we've been working on with a lot of other things. And he's done such a tremendous job on some of the artwork, for example, with Into the Warpole, Tattered Flags game. And so I contacted him and said, can you give us a sample of what your cards would look like? And he gave the sample and I went, okay, throw mine away. We're going with you.
Engaging.
So there's a little bit of a delay there just to get some better looking cards and some other things. But we're looking at next month for that. And that'll be through Blue Panther. We don't anticipate a game coming out from us for another year or so.
Okay.
Well, it's a good point because I mean, I think we sort of decided jointly too that our first game should be by another designer. You know,
Yes.
purposefully.
I
Because-
see. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, we want to show ourselves as a bona fide, game publisher. We're not
Gotcha.
just designers
Gotcha.
who are trying to
Yep, there
do
it is.
our own thing and all of a sudden put another label on it or something.
Yeah, so Artie, if you hold up that box, you can see that front cover was done by Alex Zadarin, and he's also done the front cover for the Pursuit of John Wilkes Booth game, and he's doing all the cards, and he's doing the map and everything else. And so he's a fantastic artist
Shame on
that
you, Artie.
I stumbled
Shame
onto.
on you. Shame
Why?
on you. It's not unwrapped.
Right.
Shame on you.
I just got it in the mail
Shame
today,
on you.
so it will be
And Wes-
unwrapped shortly.
Wes, I want to ask you, Wes, are the other publishers forthcoming with their the contacts?
Contacts with whenever I ask any that I've been working with questions, they've been very good about, giving me the best answer they can do. I'm not going to ask something that should be very, proprietary or
No,
something like
obviously,
that.
obviously.
But contacts, if I went to them at Compass right now and said exactly who do you use, they know we're doing this. That's the first thing I did, and it was tell them what we're looking at too. We're going to start small, and we want to grow the industry through what we do. We want to help. That's how I want to make a difference in this. Be another option for the industry and to help promote everybody that I work with and all this too.
And Wes, the reason
because we've announced.
No.
The reason why I ask is because once I went to a PAS in Columbus, Ohio, and I was there. And I was looking for certain new rattan type models. When they were sanding them down, I don't know what they were doing.
Okay, I'm out of it.
Nope,
I'm out of it.
No idea.
Okay. And Wes,
Pray continue.
Can you be quiet, please?
Go ahead.
And I remember asking one guy, "Hey man, where do you source your rattan?" And he just looked at me and said, "Get the hell out of here." And I thought, "What the hell, man? What the hell?"
I'm trying
to
I'm trying to think of how much rattan I've got in the garage right now, Dan.
You don't have as much rattan as I have. I'll tell you that much.
Probably not. No, but you'd be surprised how much rattan I went through in the SCA. So,
I think that one of the things I really want to stress is that Wharf Rat Games is not a vanity project. It's not going to be Wharf Rat Games presents a game by Ryan Heilman and Wes Crawford, and then that's all we're ever going to put out. That's not the plan. As Wes just said, I mean, we're purposely not going to put out a game by us as the first game. We're purposely trying to find.
I understand.
Some sort of designer that has an interesting, unique game that we want to tackle, we want to develop, we want to bring to light, and do it. I mean, and along the way, we want to propel the hobby forward. I mean, we are going to do this sort of company show that we colloquially call Rat Chat. That's going to premiere on October 30th on YouTube. And our first guest is going to be our good friend Herman Lutman. Herman has no game with us. We have not signed Herman for anything. We are just going to totally talk about him, how he got into the industry, and different games that he's produced and done.
Ryan, if Herman's on your side, you got 20 games.
Well, that's true. That's
fair.
But what? Yeah,
I have 20 games lined up with him that I haven't designed and worked on yet. We have all these. I keep throwing him an idea, then he throws me an idea, then I throw it, and we put it back on the list, and then we come up with another idea, we put it back on the list. In fact,
Herman's keeping like half a dozen publishers busy at this point already.
Oh yeah,
so
definitely.
Sure. What's another publisher or three added to the mix for
sure.
to add to?
Sure. He's supposed to be retired, but what does that mean? So
retired means you do what you want to do all day, right? So he's doing it.
Hopefully.
And we kind of timed this, I think, fairly well for me anyway, because I'm a teacher by trade. I'm about 3 years away from retirement. So the hope is that we can build this up so that when I do retire, this can then become my more full-time job. And there may be I don't want to say there's never going to be a Wes Crawford game or Ryan Heilman game in the mix. There probably will.
Obviously, there's gonna be, for God's sakes.
Hungry Hippos too.
But we really want to try to find some other stories. I that's how I look at it. I mean, I look at it as every one of us has some sort of story to tell, and my personal way to tell it is through board games. Herman tells it through board games. Wes tells it through music and board games. And that is our story to tell. Now, there's so many other people out there with such fantastic stories and unique stories to tell, and I want to have the chance to do that. I was really lucky, for example, when I stumbled onto Alex Knight and found his game Land of Freedom, and was able to get that developed with Blue Panther. And that was a great story that a person had worked years and years and years on. And obviously he's going to star in the making. So how mainstream will we go? There's a bunch of people, designers. We're interested in anything that is, as we said right now, historical, fantasy, sci-fi. We would like to have some sort of conflict in the game. We don't want to produce the next farming game. I'm not interested in producing sheep and corn and trading for I'm not interested in that.
As friend of the show, Jim Ozarski calls those games Hanseatic wheat orgy genre games.
Now, let me give you an example of something I would do though. There's a great topic that someone went over with me, and I haven't tackled this yet, about the production and competition over oysters in the Chesapeake Bay. Sounds like that's boring, but it led to conflict, literal armed conflict on boats between oyster dredgers in Maryland and Virginia. It actually led to an oyster war. I would do that game. That would be fascinating, Tim.
Listen, I'm telling
it's a conflict.
Ryan, my wife, I was going to say my daughter, I can't believe it. My wife comes from a fisherman family out in Nova Scotia. So,
are there other kinds of families in Nova Scotia?
Can you not say anything sometimes?
I'm just asking.
No, I mean, I'm just talking. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
What was I saying? What was I talking about?
Your wife is from a fishing family in Nova Scotia.
And talking about wars, lobster wars, scallop wars. You want to talk to me? Talk to me.
Yeah, exactly.
All the various shellfish-related conflicts. There's a real market space for this that's not being filled right now.
We are called Wharf Rat Games. We already have a maritime connection. Natural right into lobster wars.
And if we do become a war game company, we can be Wharf Rat Games.
Oh, I see.
There you go. Now you guys need to take on a third partner, Steve Fratt, who we had on the show a couple of weeks ago, and you guys would be all set.
Ryan, you were talking about sheep and building block. If someone comes up to you with the next Catan, don't say no.
Years ago, I was at Origins, and this was, 10 years ago or something like that. And I want to say this was just after Catan had kind of broken off of whoever's publishing it. Now, it's now like published by Catan, right? And they had a Catan catalog that was like 32-page, full color, letter size catalog of like 2 or 3 different Catan products on every page. I'm not even making this up. I may be misremembering it. I'm not remembering. I don't know that I'm misremembering the product Rickshaws of Catan that was in that catalog. So it's wide open here, folks.
But I mean, there are lots of really interesting mainstream games that I love to play. In my game group. I love to sit down and play a war game with my friends. But there are lots of other mainstream games that I really do enjoy playing that are interesting, that are fun. Yes, yes, I pulled that out for my Wednesday night gaming, and I would
with the casuals.
Types of games. I love to tackle games like that.
Wes, you can learn a lot.
I want to ask Wes something. Wes, everybody I know. Everybody. But anyways, are you a monster gamer also?
A monster gamer?
Yeah, like big games like Artie's gotten it.
No, I have not done anything like that in a long time. I'm actually in my free time and we're not doing something with Wharf Rat, designing. And I really, really enjoy that. But with that said, there are a few people around here. There's a lot of people in the DC, Baltimore to play with.
Mhm.
So we're not in a situation where you can't find somebody to play with. And I got together Friday night and played Washington's War with someone. I have a student that comes an hour early on Thursdays, and we always play a game or start a game. And we played a Sky Team.
Percussion student?
Huh?
A percussion student?
Yeah. He's an adult. He's in IT and stuff, and he's got his own gaming group on Thursday nights or something. And he said, "Hey, let's just get together before, since he's the first student of the day." And so we've been doing that. We played Sky Team the other day. Have you checked that out?
I have not, but I hear great things about it.
Yeah, it's won all these awards. And immediately I'm thinking, how can we turn this into a tank game? But at the same time, it was really fun on its own. You're a pilot. It's from Montreal. The game is from there.
And I think it just won one of the Spiel des Jahres or something, or it was nominated at least, if I'm not mistaken.
It's one of my Frenchy Peppers.
It's a biggie.
Yeah. So, I mean, if something came along like that, there's a conflict between you and getting your wheels on the ground. You know, I mean, it's still some adventure to it. Adventure is another word we like to use when we talk about games. And something like that would be great. It's an amazing little game.
Gentlemen, I would urge you to come to Stack Academy, because the amount of designers and prolific designers that are there is unbelievable. And you could, because in Montreal you could smoke weed, you
could do that at Buckeye Game Fest now too, just not in the facility.
But hey, Wes, I just want to take a couple of minutes. Who was your teacher, man?
I studied at Virginia Tech. I did not graduate. I studied with John Floyd, and had a high school teacher. I've learned a whole lot from a lot of people I've played with, including Umiel. I'm going to mess up his name. Shivaraman, the Mridangam player.
No, I don't know.
Yeah, from South India, and I've had a lot of opportunities like that. But I'm not a degreed, kind of percussionist that's ever looked at playing in a symphony or anything like that.
Okay.
I've studied a lot. Been very fortunate in a lot of my opportunities.
I'm going to go get a brown paper bag to put on my head when you and Dan are talking about stuff. I have no idea what you're talking about. And as a native of Northeast Ohio, you can rest assured that we've got brown paper bags in the house.
And Rich O'Meara.
Yeah.
I've known about Rich O'Meara for easily 30 years.
He's very talented.
Absolutely.
I first performed with him in 1979, and we didn't meet at that time. Then we played in a jazz band together in the 90s for a few years.
That's so cool. I mean, it freaked me out.
He's fantastic.
Not this year, Mike. Sorry.
I mean, do you know any of my history, my university history or whatever?
No. I'd love to hear it, and so would they.
Well, I mean, I studied for 5 years with Lee Stevens.
Wow. Okay.
And my good buddy is Gordon Stout, and I said, "Hey, Gordon, do you know Wes Crawford, man?" And he hasn't answered yet, so I don't know.
No, he doesn't know me. I was involved with Percussive Art Society. I was the president of the Maryland Delaware chapter for 4 years, and 3 years vice president.
Well, I mean, when we went to Columbus, Ohio, do you remember a duo called Virtual Max?
No, that's not ringing a bell. But Columbus was my first PASIC in 1999.
I don't know if it was 99 that we went to, but the people of PASIC, because of Lee Stevens, that son of a bitch, because of Lee Stevens, we had to play outside where the people were coming in. But Gordon Stout and who's the dean from in New York somewhere. He's a marimba guy. What's his freaking name? Bill Mersch.
Okay.
You know Bill Mersch?
No.
Okay.
And
I'm
All
giving
right.
you the look that my wife gives me when I talk about war games.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
okay.
okay. Enough of that.
They
I'm
have
more-
this
I'm
death
more
stare
drunk.
going on.
drum set
So-
and hand percussion. Artie, are we losing people?
No, we are not losing anyone.
Viewership
Well, we
is
might be
fine.
losing people, but we're gaining them back at an approximately equal
Wes,
rate, so it's all good.
I listened to the marimba piece that Rich had commissioned from you.
Yeah.
The marimba was fantastic. Fantastic.
What's
She's
a marimba?
amazing. Kana Omori.
And I mean, no, I mean the spacing between the notes, I thought it grooved in the silences. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But why did you not? Because it was a little bit heavy metal. Why did you not process the drums? Because you went classical there.
Yeah, that's what that's how we heard it, and that's where Kana Omori's coming from too.
Okay.
And so it's supposed to be like a little funkiness, but at the same time, everything in that piece is written except for about 6 bars towards the end.
That was fantastic, by the
So,
way. Very,
that was-
very nice.
Well, thank you.
What's a marimba?
Yeah, okay.
It's like a
Jorge,
big xylophone.
what's the matter with that guy?
What's
the
a
matter?
xylophone? I know what a xylophone is. I'm just kidding now. So I would not, however, attempt to spell marimba. So applaud Captain Nolan for bravery. So are you guys?
Wow.
I'm positive in the
Back to
remaining
game.
24 minutes, we're going to get back to the topic of bizarre musical instruments that Gary's never heard of. However, that said, I do want to ask if you guys plan to go through like the traditional hobby game distribution chain here in the U.S. Because that's a bit of a minefield, right? Because they're going to take a big chunk.
Yeah, that's a big question. I think initially, no. We definitely are looking at crowdfunding. And we definitely are looking at ways to distribute through companies like Amazon and whatnot. But actually hooking up with the distributor and getting it out to larger companies in the U.S., probably initially no. But that doesn't mean I won't start investigating and finding out more about it and things like that. There's a big distributor right here in the Baltimore area, so I can easily make those contacts and find out more details. But it's not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody I've heard just grumbles about it and doesn't want to talk about it. So for right now, no. I mean, I think we're looking more crowdfunding. We're looking website sales. We're looking possibly on Amazon, places like that. We do have some local game stores that obviously are going to very much support us. We like to get our games in some of those places, make those one-on-one contacts. There are some distributors overseas that I know of that I can work with and try to get more of those overseas type things going. Noble Knight, that's another one, obviously, that you just went and visited. They're fairly easy to work with, and they buy a lot of games from companies like us. So there are other ways to do it and not have to go those distributor routes initially anyway.
You see this comment?
I think that's a good call, by the way.
You see this comment? If I was your managers, I'd raise the prices $2 per game. So Captain Nolan, relax.
$2 per game. We were talking about $20 per game a couple of weeks ago. So Dan has improved. So I think that makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, in at least in the U.S., I feel like Alliance has a bit of a stranglehold on the game distribution network, and they're just not incredibly super duper motivated to deal with what they perceive of whether they are or not niche products, right? Meaning anything other than D&D, Magic, and Pokemon.
Sure. Well,
So,
that's where the profit is.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't blame them, but it's a good idea if you can manage to do without the distribution. And don't forget, this was probably 25 years ago now, but that big distributor collapse that we had when Wizard's Attic went away, that took a lot of publishers down with them. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah,
storage
is another issue.
Mm-hmm.
I see Mike's question here. Storage is a big issue.
Mm-hmm. How big's your basement, Ryan?
Well, not big enough, and I'm already renting a space. I buy and sell games all the time, and so there's my personal collection behind me, which you can't see, and then there's my other stuff in storage that I'm selling. So, frankly, if I tell my wife that I'm going to bring in 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 games into the house here, I'm going to be signing those divorce papers pretty quickly, So that's
You
not
already
gonna be
have that many
happening,
games
so-
in your house. So
Yeah, well, that's true.
But
That's
if you
true.
sneak them
So-
in one at a time, it's a little different. If
Nah,
they're
nah,
they're
nah,
showing
nah.
up on 25 pallets, then it's a little harder to
yeah,
sneak them in.
no, that's not
She
going to
ain't
happen.
stupid. She ain't stupid.
So
I mean, we're already looking. I'm already looking here about building a building in the back in the backyard, just to put my work area, to put a table where I can play the games and play test, and a place to actually do some work and have a place to store some things. But
mhm.
I'm not going to store huge amounts of games here. I mean, having some on site, yeah, sure, but I think we need to look at ways to obviously distribute and store things, and that's difficult, and it drives prices up, and we got to really.
Is this true
Yeah.
that 2,000 units will take a dozen skids?
It sounds
No,
approximately
sure.
correct.
Are
2,000
you
units is a lot of
serious? Where
games.
you gonna put that?
I know it's a lot of stuff.
Wait, Ryan, and make sure they understand. We're not, if we do crowdfunding, it's not like we're going to all of a sudden have 2,000 games show up at our house one day. You know, there's other people that fulfill the Kickstarters and that sort of thing. And that's where
Okay,
the
okay.
majority would go. But otherwise, you know, if we have such success then and have new problems in this thing, then that's the issue. We solve those problems with it because of the success, you know. But we're not going to go out and order 5,000 games and have no pre-sales.
Right.
You
No,
know, so we're not gonna-
I'd
We're not
advise
we're not gonna end
against
up
it.
with that.
We're not
But-
doing that. I know
but-
people that have done that and have them sitting in their house, and they're trying to get them, and every once in a while an order comes through Amazon and they ship it out. You know, that's not going to be what we're doing
not
here.
doing that. So there's methods around this, but the question that was up on the screen before by Perfidious Albion, we're we're looking to find the game or games we like. We're going to play test, develop, market at conventions and wherever we can at stores, and then we're going to publish it, because it was asking, are we going even that full route to publishing and marketing? And yes, we are. That's what a game company does and should do. So
Hello.
And what's your first? Have you been to a con with your company, or what's your first
No.
con?
We have not a fish. Well, that's not true. I mean, we've been into some small little local type of designer things, you know, at a bookstore here, that sort of stuff. Our first official walking around, we won't actually be working at it, but just kind of walking around, talking to people, stopping by on pub, that sort of thing, will be PAX Unplugged in Philadelphia. We'll be stopping by on the Friday. We'll be there all day on the Friday of that convention. We actually will be at Fall In Lancaster, but we're actually going to be working the Blue Panther booth that day. Herman will be there, and he'll be showing off Tattered Flags. We'll be demoing. I'll be demoing Tattered Flags as well. Plus, yes, that one. Plus the booth game, Pursuit John Wilkes Booth. We'll be demoing those games, selling games. We'll be there. I'll be there Friday and Saturday, and Wes will be there Friday, and Herman will be there Friday and Saturday. But really, kind of, as I said, the most official. And again, we don't have a table or anything. We're just going to be walking around. But if anybody wants to contact me and meet with me and take a look at something, I'd be happy to do so. Would be PAX Unplugged.
we're going to get very good at changing hats, and we have to, because we are deeply involved with some other companies in one way or another. And so, you know, if we go to Fall In and we're working for Blue Panther, we're not going to talk about, you know, Wharf Rat. We're not. We're good, because our whole energies will be towards what we're doing there. So that's one thing, because I think people could worry about that, and I want to make sure that they're reassured about that.
But what's
Yeah,
wrong
that's
with
definitely true.
Wharf Rat? What's wrong with
What's
talking
that?
about Wharf Rat?
Well, if
I
you're
mean,
there
for example,
repping somebody else,
yeah.
that could get
Oh, I
awkward
see.
real
Yes,
fast.
yes, yes.
Now,
Okay,
Steve's a great guy, but I don't know if he'll be
I
annoyed by that or
gotcha,
not.
I gotcha.
No, I'm not going to do that. I mean, I've had those conversations with Steve many times where I said, "Oh, if I'm working for you, I'm working for you."
Absolutely.
You know, and that's the bottom line. So,
Yeah.
We are starting to chart out the other conventions that we're going to go to. We're starting to look and see, you know, which, you know, do we want to go here, 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 and here? I'm pretty sure we're going to be at PressCon. I'm pretty sure we're going to be at Origins. I know we're going to be at WDC. I know. Am I missing any? Oh, I know we're going to be at the Circle DC. So we already have at least 4 or 5 right there ready to go.
Jesus, man.
and hopefully we'll have a game eventually signed that we can actually bring and demo and show off, and maybe even have a table and that sort of thing. That's where we're kind of moving towards. Right now, our goal has been over the past month, just get the website up, get the social media started, get our name out there, do these types of things, put out the call for submissions, start looking at some games. We demoed a game with a designer, an unpublished designer, on Sunday. We demoed 2 of his games. Really liked one. We're bringing him one to take a look at it, put it through its paces, see if it's going to be something very interested in doing. And that's kind of what we're focused on right now. We're working with the artist that did the artwork for Tatterflies and Booth to do our logo and all of our branding material. I know you keep holding it up. Our business cards, all that kind of stuff. Coming up with our, the whole scheme of what the company image is. He's going to work with us on.
Okay, so you do have a manager, like a guy you can throw all this logistic mumbo jumbo at.
Yeah, I think you're looking at him.
Seriously. Okay, so, I mean, you don't have an associate.
Wait, hold on. How do I do this and point towards him?
Yeah, you guys,
that guy over there.
You guys don't have a social life anymore. You probably will get divorced, and I don't know, man. I mean, the amount of work that's involved is tremendous.
That's why we're starting slower and building and learning. We'll learn from our experiences and from everybody along the way. I mean, let's bring it back to music. You're in music. You've never stopped learning. You never reach where you want to do. And I'm used to that way of thinking too. And that's the whole process. And we want to keep from shooting ourselves in the foot until we get to where we want to be. But we're going to start slowly. We both are working a whole lot outside of this. And we also have designs and things going. So we'll start slow. We do 1 game 1 year. Maybe we'll do 2 the next year. Maybe we'll do 2 the following year. Then if you free up, Ryan, then, maybe then I can change some things in my life, free up a little bit. Then maybe we'd shoot for 4 in a year. But it's nothing that has to be done. And neither of us personally are going to make or break from this company right now, and we're never going to put ourselves in that position. We want to have fun and we want to grow the industry.
So you're not betting the farm?
No.
Okay, good.
No.
Good.
And I think there's a couple of things that you have to remember. We have very loving and patient wives. So that's the first thing. And I do need to give my wife credit because she had originally thought of the name Wharf Rat Games. And when I talked it out with Wes, he's like, "Oh, that's a great name." And we decided to use that. But secondly, we purposely chose one another to be partners because I looked at what he had to offer, and he had some of the stuff that I don't have, that I can't do. And he looked at what I have to offer, and I have some of the stuff that he can't do. And then all the other stuff that we don't have at this point, we realized we could learn. Like I saw the message pop up. You can figure out all the distribution. You can figure out all the printing. You can figure out all the other stuff. But do we have people that can be passionate about a game and explain the game to a group of people at a convention? Well, I do. His name's Wes. Do we have people that can take a game from a design point and develop it and smooth out all those edges and whatnot? And we do with the 2 of us. I mean, so we have those types of things. I'm working on it, Jeff. Lucky Little Luxembourg Designer Edition. Still trying to work on it.
Deluxe Designer Edition.
Deluxe Designer Edition.
Yeah.
Gentlemen, because I want to say guys, gentlemen, other than, Herman Luttman is a huge name. Are you soliciting any other huge name designers?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. I don't know that we can say, but sure. I mean, why not? We know these people. We're friendly with these people, just because we're part of the industry. Why not go up to them and say, "Hey, do you have that game hidden in the closet that you haven't put, that no one has seen or whatever?" I mean, there's nothing at all for me to lose by doing stuff.
And here's why it also makes sense is that, where we are in the industry, it takes a long time to get through pipelines, right? with any de Luxembourg.
The
But
Luxembourg.
with
That's fantastic.
with
pretty
any of the
fantastic.
companies
I
now,
like that.
and there are a lot of designers out there, big and small, that want to get more of their products out. Just out to expose them. Make money or not, but to get them out. And
I'll
so
tell
I
you
think,
something,
yeah,
Wes.
people.
Wes, all you need is a bottle of scotch, and I swear to God, a lot of designers are gonna they're gonna have your hands around. Yeah,
Nice designers of a certain generation.
I'm telling you, man.
So there you go. You can get Mark to send you this, and you just have to change the name to Schmonan or something like that, and you'll be off to the races.
That would be.
I haven't talked to Mark. I haven't talked to Mark Herman. I talked to someone named Stark Sherman the other day, but not Mark. I don't know who that is.
They call him the Shermanator, I believe.
Shermanator. That's right. No, we've been having conversations. Lots of different people. And I love. There's two things. I love working with the established designers. I love when they have the game that they can offer us, and they have obviously. You want to get a designer like that on board, obviously your sales are going to go up. But to tell you the truth, I also love working with the young designers, the people that haven't been published, the people that are designers that I love finding them, finding them. I didn't really find them, but you know what I mean? I love,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like in music, you discover them. I like that.
And
I
know what? Talking about music, Wes, they just discovered a new Mozart piece.
Yeah, I saw that in the Washington Post, I believe.
Hey, he was a teenager. I can't wait to hear it.
I mean, for example, the artist Alex that's been working with us a lot. That's an interesting story. How did I get him to work with us? I happened to just see that he had done some fan art for Land of Freedom. New cards, new icons, new maps, that sort of thing. I just happened to stumble upon it on Board Game Geek. So I wrote him. I said, really like what you're doing here. Have you ever had any interest in doing some professional work? And he's like, oh, yeah, I've been thinking about getting into that, et cetera, et cetera. So we talked, and now here he is doing this just a tremendous artwork for Blue Panther.
Gentlemen, you have to come to Montreal, because Montreal is smooth, easy street. With a bit of wine and a bit of herb, you guys got designers en masse.
Okay.
And there are bagels, so I'm told.
Jeez,
there are.
Seriously.
There are. I'm going to insult him right now. I tried the bagels.
Oh, no, don't give me that bullshit.
Yeah, so if you're a New York bagels guy, I don't know, I haven't had the Montreal bagels. I'm just saying, if you're a New York bagels guy, other bagels are suspect. It's the tap water.
If you tried Montreal bagels and you're still sticking to your guns, you got no taste.
I probably don't.
The best bagels I found in this crappy town is Brugger's bagels. They're not that great. They're acceptable in a pinch, but
Montreal bagels they are very different. They're very different.
Mm-hmm.
They're unique.
Do they have poutine? Are they like poutine filled bagels? Is that how that works? Is that what makes them a Montreal bagel? Because I would eat that. I got to tell you.
What's the matter? Like the physical matter with you? What's the matter with you?
I don't know. See, there you go. You heard it from the expert here. It's the water. It's the water.
That's right.
It's the water. Yeah, I guess this is probably not the greatest idea. When is Stack Academy, Dan?
Well, I mean,
what time of the year? I'm asking.
Every month, but I think
but the big one.
The big stack, I think, is around July.
Okay, so not January is what I'm fishing for here. So that's great.
Yeah. That doesn't bother me. My wife's from Buffalo. So we go all the time in the winter, and we love it in the winter up there. We like winter. That's not an issue.
No, this perfidious Albion, can we ban him? Ban him.
I don't know. I like his train of thought here, personally.
Ban him.
Pretzels, huh?
What's wrong with pretzels?
It's not a bagel.
Yeah.
A pretzel's a pretzel. A bagel's a bagel.
Right. See, the New York bagels, you could throw them. You could throw one and seriously injure someone.
I'm just gonna talk to Wes for a second. Wes, when you're playing marimba, when you're playing marimba, do you use birch or rattan as opposed to when you're playing the vibes?
I don't play marimba. I played marimba in college. I worked up. The hardest thing I worked up was Chick Corea's No Mystery.
What's the
performed that one
rattan
time,
for?
then I was done.
So okay, so
Are you playing the drums and making attractive patio furniture at the same time? I mean, I'm just wondering.
So Wes, when you played marimba, you played birch handles, right?
I'm not sure what I played. I played something my teacher gave me. I was not deep into marimba. Go talk to Kana. Do you know Kana?
Work with me.
Folks, next week we've got the Montreal Bassoon Quartet on, so look forward to that.
Savage.
Yep.
Bagels. How did we get the bagels and pretzels? And
I love bagels. I love a good bagel. After many years, I found a place with good bagels, not the best, but good, legitimately good bagels in Columbus, and then I left. So here I am in Akron, and there's not a bagel in sight. The bagels are trash up here.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
about that
I am
bagel.
confident, Dan, that your Montreal bagels are in fact better than Akron, Ohio bagels. How about that?
You don't understand. Montreal bagels are the best in the world. I don't give a crap. I don't give a crap if you go to Jerusalem, Syria.
I asked Mark Herman,
can't go there now,
and he said absolutely not. In between bouts of hysterical laughter. So,
come on.
How about the meat sandwich? Let's talk about meat sandwiches.
Yeah, does that come on a bagel, Dan?
No,
the famous.
He's bastardizing an icon. It's called the smoked meat sandwich. What's the matter with you? I gotta get out. Ban these people. Ban them.
William Aarons, we've actually covered this already. They're going to go the traditional publishing route.
I mean, nothing's depending
impossible,
on what it is.
but right. But you guys, you guys don't have a game under contract already. Let me ask it that way. Correct?
With Wharf Rat, no.
We
do not have any.
Okay, so you're working on it.
We have not signed any contracts with any games. We've gotten tons of submissions.
That's
lots
great.
of people out there with ideas that a lot of them are really fantastic, and it's really hard to sit there and write them back and say, look, you got a great idea here. It's really cool. It's interesting. It's just not right for us. And we love you. We wish you the best, but we're gonna keep looking. Yeah, and that's really hard.
Sure.
We try to give some feedback if we can. We can't always. I mean, it's a quick process.
You need to stamp the Italian stamp.
No, I mean, I kind of feel like, because I've gone through this process myself, that I want to at least offer something, So if you pitch me a game, and all I'm asking right now for a pitch is just a paragraph explaining what the game is. Just tell me that elevator pitch what the game is. I don't need to say anything else. And then if I'm interested, I'll ask for some more stuff. And they can send that to info@wharfratgames.com. And I at least, if they do send me a rule book or they send me some more information, I at least want to give them something back. Hey, this looks cool, or this was interesting, or we really like this, but And then if we do get to the point where we're actually playing their game, we get a prototype, we're pretty committed to give some feedback and not just nope, sorry, And we want to give it back to them in a quick process. We're not going to hold on to a game for, I've heard horror stories of people holding on to games for a year and never getting them back from, the publisher and that sort of thing. We're not doing that. We're going to get it back in 2 weeks.
Please do not become the Harlan Ellison of wargaming.
Yeah.
If you know what for anybody that gets that particular joke, which has literally just resolved itself this week after 50 years of BS.
You remind me. I'm sort of getting the connection there, but I don't remember all.
Dangerous Visions, which Ellison had bought stories for, 75% of the authors that he bought the story, and he clung to the rights too, because it was like an until publication type of deal, and it literally just came out last week, 6 years after Ellison died. It was put together by J. Michael Straczynski.
Okay.
But I mean, big names that you'd recognize, there was a Frank Herbert story in there. Herbert's been dead for 40 years.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's kind of the plan there, and then hopefully we'll find something. I mean, it's amazing where you can stumble upon things. I mean, I stumbled upon Land of Freedom on Twitter of all things. I saw it was on Twitter, and I was looking around Twitter, and I happened to see Alex Knight pop up about some of his games that he had worked on, including John Brown and a couple others. And I was like, oh, that John Brown game looks interesting. And I
Wait,
contacted him.
wait, stop.
What?
Alex Knight has a John Brown game coming out?
Yes, I believe he does. Not for me. Another company.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, then.
Hold on a
Well, that
second.
was he.
That's
he
the guy who
did,
shot Lincoln, right?
No, John
No,
Brown,
that's
the
John Brown.
somewhat crazed abolitionist, John Brown.
Oh,
Who
the
was-
guy who and he's stuck in the.
Took over
In
the
the
armory.
shed.
at
The
Harvard.
armory at Harper's Ferry,
Yeah,
and was
that's right.
personally captured by Robert E. Lee and Jeb Stuart
Yeah,
with their guys, right?
so what happened there is he showed me it on TTS, John Brown game,
Mhm.
and I really kind of liked it. And then we met up at WBC and we looked at it again, and it was a really interesting game. It just wasn't quite what I was looking for. I said, "You have anything else?" And he goes, "Oh, I got this one on the Spanish Revolution, Civil War, and then I have another one on Russia." He said, "But I'm pitching Russian to GMT." I said, "No, I don't want to deal with that. Show me the Spanish one." And I was just blown away by the Spanish one. So obviously, we were the first to release the Spanish one, Land of Freedom. The other one's coming out from GMT on the Russian Revolution, and I'm pretty certain the John Brown one is coming out. I know he's been reworking it because initially he only had up to Harper's Ferry. He didn't have Harper's Ferry as part of the game.
Okay.
And that was one of the things he and I talked about. And so I know he's been incorporating Harper's Ferry, and then he is supposedly working with a nearby company. Let's just say a nearby company on this, I believe,
Ryan,
although I don't know for certain.
A John Brown game. What's the victory points? Live as long as you can.
Murder as many random settlers in Kansas as possible, I believe.
Live as long as you can.
It's not my game, so we should have Alex in here. But if I remember correctly, it had to do with getting money, getting guns, taking those and getting them from Kansas and other places down to the Harper's Ferry area, getting ready for that. I mean, it was supposed to be not just him raiding an army. They were trying to go and free the slaves in the South and all that other kind of stuff. So trying to get all the resources down there to lead this great revolution of slaves.
Wasn't that early in the war?
Before the war.
It was before the war.
That was before the war.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man.
So Hammer and Sickle is the one from GMT that's coming out. Jeez.
There you go. Info at wharfratgames.com. I put it in the chat already, along with the link to the webpage.
Send it to us. Interesting.
Well, gentlemen, I have a bathroom game. How to create a bathroom that doesn't flood. You guys interested?
Does it involve a can?
I'll send you some. I'll send you the.
Is
the
it sci-fi or fantasy?
This is how Dan tries to re-inject his toilet into the conversation.
Does it involve the marimba?
No.
His toilet plays the marimba, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Every time you flush, it plays a little Bach prelude.
Mm-hmm. You guys might, you guys have probably already thought of this, would be my guess, but there's some very intriguing Zenobia Award finalists, and there's only going to be one winner. So
yes,
that might be worth a conversation or two.
Yeah, a lot of stragglers.
Yeah. I was just talking to Wes about that the other day. I said I was looking. I sent him the link. I said, "Hey, go look at what was submitted."
It took me like 10 minutes to figure out that graphic. By the way,
right?
I'm just saying.
And then we went through who the finalists were and not finalists, et cetera, saying about which, and I don't know exactly how that works as regards, the winner and what they get and what, and I know a lot of the other ones end up signing with companies, but we're certainly looking at that. Mm-hmm. And if there's anybody that is involved in that and is interested in sending the pitch of their game or information about their game, please do so at info@wharfratgames.com.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's a little different too for what we might want for the first game versus for future games, because to do something that just nobody's ever heard of. It's not necessarily the best first game thing.
No.
But it's a good idea as another game because it is unique to bring in later. But
this would definitely be a unique suggestion. I could vouch for that.
You know what? Your
Dan, we put that together.
That one there, Toilet Tripper.
Toilet Tripper.
Time Tripper.
That's Dan's submission. So just so you're prepared when it arrives.
You're laughing.
I forgot.
now.
I don't remember that SPI game.
We are
got
in
it.
fact laughing. We're laughing with you, Dan.
Don't patronize me.
We're patronizing you, Dan. It's true. All right, folks, we are a couple of minutes over here, so I'm going to say goodbye and thank everybody for coming out tonight, and especially thank Dan, who is a great sport, as always, who was mortally offended when I threatened before the show to call him the Lars Ulrich of Wargaming, with good reason, to be fair. And our special guests, Mr. Wes Crawford and Mr. Ryan Heilman. Thanks, guys. I'm sure that we will talk again before too terribly much longer, because I'll probably run into one of you guys before very long.
I'll talk to you. Definitely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank you
much
so
for
much.
having us.
It's been great. Everybody have a great. I got to find where all the stuff is. There we go. Outro video. We have a button for this now.
Wes, don't
Wow.
leave Wes.
Stick
Don't
around
leave.
for a minute,
I'll stay.
folks. Everybody have a great rest of the night. We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
All right.
You know.